so excited. Hope everyone's got some lunch in them and are ready to talk about our panel here. It's called Concealing the Chain. My name's Liz Peng. I'll be moderating. I'm head of communications and marketing at Celo Foundation. We're stewards of an emerging Ethereum L2 that stewards 1,000 sort of projects in over 150 countries, all geared towards real-world users and use cases. And it is my distinct pleasure to welcome Pierina, founder of Flickplay, a Web3 consumer app that is merging sort of physical and digital worlds, as well as Ahmed, founder of KYD, who is also sort of transforming the ticketing journey for artists and brands. And very excited to be here. Would love for you to also sort of introduce yourselves. Ahmed, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah. Hey, so my name is Ahmed Nimale, co-founder and CEO of KYD Labs. Prior to founding KYD Labs, I was a product leader at Ticketmaster Live Nation, where famously our namesake came from, in a meeting where my goal was to be able to push data ownership and rights to venues that were going out of business in the pandemic. Michael Rapino responded with, who the fuck is this kid? So that is the story and beginning of what we do at KYD Labs, which is enabling artists and major venues to sell, market to their fans effectively, and creating a world where fans are rewarded for going to shows instead of being gouged by service fees. To date, we've serviced over 500,000 fans in the US and are the world's first Web3 ticketing company to take a music venue from an incumbent, DICE.
Awesome. Pierina?
Hello, everyone. My name is Pierina, and I'm the founder and CEO of Flickplay. My background is at the intersection of design and technology, recovering architect, but with a very strong vision on how design and technology will build the next generation of human experiences. At Flickplay, we believe that maps are poised to become the new app store for online to offline experiences. And Flickplay as a platform is partnering with the top entertainment studios in the world to power it.
Amazing. So in thinking through sort of concealing the chain, what we mean by that is instead of sort of leading with protocol, infrastructure, talking about scalability, vertical and horizontal, or infra and market cap and prices, we really want to focus on how do you actually design and build and create these sort of seamless user experiences for the everyday user who is really, for lack of better words, not going to care, right? So would love to hear from each of you what concealing the chain sort of means to you in your respective roles. Maybe, Pierina, do you want to start?
Yes, absolutely. I think that this is a conversation we have a lot with all of our IP partners. And for us, it's really creating a seamless experience where the technology really is invisible for consumers. Sure. One of the things that Bandai Namco told us when we were exploring a partnership with them is that oftentimes in Web3, people don't really understand what community is, and people think that they will come to them and tell them how to foster community when they have communities that they have fostered over 40 years, right, for each of their IP. So when we really think about concealing the chain, we really think about how can we make the experience seamless, and within Flickplay specifically, we focus on the interoperability layer. How can we enable consumers to unlock digital characters in real-world locations that are connected to the culture and enable its interoperability across an open ecosystem of games and experiences? So how does that evolve the next generation of stamp collecting? How that evolves the next generation of connecting retail experiences with gaming experiences, which normally within studios are totally fragmented, and how blockchain technology actually enables that.
Sure, amazing. Ahmed, what about you?
Yeah, so music venues and artist managers are the most skeptical people on the planet. They're distrustful of everything. So at KYD, our goal was to deliver an experience that not only was more seamless than existing players like DICE and Ticketmaster, but one where fans can easily buy tickets. Simply, that's the goal. And second piece, where we're actually driving additional return on spend or metrics to venues in a way they can digest. Success for us was being able to get music venues and artists who are distrustful to trust us. And ultimately what that means is being able to deliver an experience that's not only better for fans and easier to transact on and convert on, but is also more robust from a data and storytelling perspective. There's no excuse, in my belief, as a Web3 or Web2 company and consumer to not deliver an experience that creates value for your customers.
Right.
And yeah, that's our thinking and our stance.
So I guess maybe just to add to that, like why blockchain for you, right?
Yep.
Why this particular sort of technology?
So the craziest thing, and the reason why Ticketmaster today has such a stronghold on music venues and artists is because that music venues traditionally can't get loans. When you're a venue, your ticketing company is traditionally your financier. It's a form of factoring. So Ticketmaster has created basically these long-tail deals with a lot of music venues by giving them upfront capital to produce their shows and guarantee artist tours. It is absolutely critical for us to succeed against Ticketmaster by providing decentralized capital to venues, enabling stablecoin depositors, or what we call patrons, to be able to fund and produce, enabling venues to take those loans out and produce the shows they need while providing yield back to those lenders. So why is blockchain useful? It's a way of banking the unbankable, and music venues today are traditionally some of those that face that issue.
Right. So I'm hearing ownership, the ability to sort of deploy capital, funding mechanisms.
It's a ticketing platform owned by the fans, the artists,
Love
and the
that.
people.
Right.
And that's
Love that.
the core behind it.
By the people, for the people.
Right.
Pierina, what are some of the thorny problems that you're sort of encountering and aiming to solve for with Flickplay?
Yes, so on one side, I could say on the business side, with the partnership with our IP partners, currently their retail business and their gaming or digital business are completely fragmented. They're normally run by different teams with different goals and business initiatives. And this creates a natural bottleneck for consumers because a true fan of Pac-Man or Mickey Mouse that is going to a retail experience, they can't really connect with how that franchise is developing or connecting digital experience for it. I think that when we think about the concept of Ready Player One and the ability for you to go to a store, buy something, and that something enables a digital experience that enhances your connection with the franchise, that's a user journey that currently is broken. So as a platform that connects to real world and where the culture and the connection with the IP is fostered, we're able to channel those audiences and power the distribution to their digital initiative.
Right.
And from a consumer standpoint, we see more and more the desire of fans wanting to connect with the community, but right now don't really know how to, because you could get surprised of how little one-to-one connection our franchises or the partners that we work with have a direct connection with them, and instead they're going to Meta or to, I would say, Web2 social platforms to pay to be able to connect with their fans. So we're creating a one direction for them.
I love that. So I'm hearing a lot of fostering connection, community, and really leveraging that. Great. So I guess another sort of question for you all, since, you know, this talk is about concealing the chain and, you know, sort of hiding the wires. How are you all sort of speaking to your communities or talking about crypto and blockchain without speaking about crypto and blockchain? Maybe, Ahmed, you could sort of share some insights on that front.
It was kind of funny. One of our venue customers actually hit us up and said, we should do a meme coin. And it's funny because a lot of our customers starting off didn't know we were on chain.
Right.
And then they would look us up and they're like, oh, you guys are on Aptos. Oh, what is this? And that came from the fact that we were delivering on our promise, which was making them more money and selling more tickets. And by that, they were now comfortable in asking about these foreign concepts and how we can help them use that to make more money. Now, when it comes down to it, we don't have the conversation when we're building a relationship with our customers around the blockchain and the crypto components, because it doesn't matter. What they care about is, how am I going to sell more tickets? How am I going to fill my room? And how am I, as a venue or an artist, going to make sure I reach my fans? And then when that conversation is complete and we're being successful at that, how can we now leverage this crypto component that KID has to now drive a further wedge, whether it be financing or whether it be, you know, trying out new things? But yeah, traditionally, like, it's a conversation we have after.
Yeah. Go ahead.
The short answer is we don't. and I think that that's where the beauty, we really focus on the mainstream adoption of Web3.
Yes.
But basically powering the foundational value that we find in blockchain, which is interoperability, is a global identity for consumers. So one of the aha moments that we had, we started as a Web2 platform, and in 2019, we had this aha moment once we did our first wallet integration, and in-game assets from platforms like the Sandbox were able to migrate to our platform and became part of the experience. And that's really what we believe that blockchain really enables, this interconnection of experiences and culture that traditional gated ecosystems don't really allow. So one of the aha moments that we had with our community is that at this point, consumers can't trade inside the platform, but we created a very seamless experience for users to win custody of their wallet and trade it somewhere else. And we see within the community portals in our platform, people teaching each other, how can you go to OpenSea and trade that specific asset with someone else, right? And I think like these are genuine ways for us to onboard people into Web3 without really tapping into the speculative layer that normally breaks fan base.
Absolutely, and just sort of erodes trust, I would say, fundamentally. And I think something we were talking about even before sort of coming on stage too is just, you know, not over-indexing on sort of leading with the engineering and the infrastructure. And to your point, Ahmed, it's incredible. People don't even realize you're on chain because that experience is really great for artists. And to your point, to not speak about it, and then all of a sudden, organically, you have these conversations taking place where people are then interested in, okay, I'm onboarded, I may be slightly pilled, what's next?
Yeah.
Right.
Like, how else can I go on and explore this sort of technology layer, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Something that you had mentioned, Ahmed, that I love is just meeting your audience where they are. And I know that's something that you do as well in Japan with all these different localized activations and content. How are you building trust with them and, you know, in your sort of respective communities beyond, just the technology itself?
Yeah, I have actually two examples of that. One of our partners is Bratz, which is adults IP, and they're the most followed toy brand on TikTok.
Cool.
So when we launched that collection or onboarded that IP into our product, we went where the fans were. They would go to TikTok to watch the miniseries and connect with the IP there, right? And through our partnership with MGA, we start tackling that audience, really understanding how they engage in the comment segment, how could we actually, as a platform, and that explores the next generation of digital toys, digitally, could actually connect with them through an authentic experience.
Cool.
And we start using TikTok as a channel to connect authentically with them. And on the other side, when it comes to our location-based real-world experiences, we localized Flickplay in Japan about a week ago in partnership with the city of Shibuya and Bandai Namco. And it was the perfect location and the perfect IP, considering that we're celebrating this year Pac-Man's 45th anniversary. And the first time that Pac-Man was played was in Shibuya 45 years
Very
ago.
cool.
So
Yeah.
the idea of bringing fans to the location that has so much nostalgia for them and connecting them with a culturally relevant experience in a city that they're familiarized with was that entry point for us to onboard them into a Pac-Man experience that now transcends Shibuya into the digital realm.
I love that.
So it's kind of funny. Like most people in New York that have used Kid have learned about it from their favorite artist. It's, you know, if you're
Amazing.
seeing a show for the Lemonheads or you're seeing a show for DOD, one of our venue customers does 300 shows a year. And on average, that's 1,000 people per show. And the artist is spending anywhere from 20% of 30% of their ticket sales on promoting their show on TikTok and Instagram. When a customer buys a ticket and validates it on chain. Their account is a wallet. And I like to say, in New York, most normies that have an actual wallet on chain is probably because of us. So going back to meeting fans where they are, you know, we do a good job at that because we do a good job at making our artists and venues successful at marketing and reaching their fans.
Yeah.
And by doing that, it creates that flywheel of onboarding the next generation of fans. We meet our venues at their conferences, whether it be Polestar or it be NIVA, the National Independent Venue Association. Just because we're a Web3 company in music doesn't mean that we can't or should not be going to those conferences. We make it a thing to be there and educate and meet them as venues and where they at their conferences in a language they understand. So that's how we found success in that way, in that method.
Incredible. I love that. How are we thinking through? I mean, I think gone are the days in the last cycle. We were all there when people were signing these sort of banner partnerships and maybe with, in these sort of like enterprise brand deals that, didn't necessarily, come to full fruition. And, I think it's a totally different time that we're in the industry. And Pierina, you guys are still doing it, right? Like building trust even with enterprise companies and brands. How has that experience been?
Yeah, it's a long-term game. I think that Web3 platforms or Web3 builders underestimate how long it takes to create a paradigm shift with a new technology stack. And I think that year after year, I started Flickplay in 2019, and year after year, we see that every year is a year of something new, right? You have the year of AR, the year of NFTs and blockchain, and you have the year of VR, and now it's the year of AI. But the way we really think about technology and convey to our partners is it's not really about you being bucket as a Web3 platform, but how you're leveraging all these technologies horizontally to create a better experience for their fans. So when we create that connection with our enterprise partners, we really sell them in that 5-year roadmap of innovation and disruption that will bring for the company rather than that promise of an overnight success, right, for them.
Yeah, and I think it's better that way. You have folks who are genuinely committed, right, and thinking through a real partnership. Ahmed, what about you guys?
I got a hot take on the partnership stuff.
Let's hear it. Always here for a hot take.
My take is this. I believe that you have customers and partners that pay you to do what you're doing if you have something valuable. I think gone are the days where we're seeing these amazing big brand deals, but now we're seeing consumer projects actually being used by these big brands or big venues. And if you're generating revenue off of that, I think that is what a successful relationship looks like.
Right.
And ultimately, if a brand or a partner cares about what you're building, they're going to pay for it. And that's my 2 cents there.
No, absolutely. And I think just in speaking earlier you're also thinking through very thoughtfully about KID and how you guys show up as a company and raise money. And I think that's very admirable. Let's talk a little bit about adoption and geographies and markets. I know you guys are in respective, sort of US and Asia in particular, and sort of North America for you as well. How are you sort of seeing the adoption shift? Are there any sort of surprises or?
Yeah, I think that depends on the vertical that you gravitate on. Certain markets have natural more adoption than others. We see in Japan specifically the rising of virtual influencers in ways that in the US is just not there yet, right? And that emotional connection with virtual beings, which led into it becoming a critical market for Flickplay. I remember when Bandai Namco originally reached out to us, they couldn't believe that we had not been yet exposed to Japan or Korea as a market because of how ideal the product was for their consumer. So that we have a huge focus in Asia, and it's really become a magnet just because of the readiness of consumers for the experience that we provide. Rather than the US, we typically see the US kind of catching up to some of the digital trends after a few years that they evolve in Asia. And that's why we have put a focus in here, and we launched last week in Japan, and it was an absolutely incredible experience that we're looking to expand with different cities and different local institutions.
Right. How are you guys thinking through sort of markets and places?
I'm really hoping, we're seeing a lot of regulatory changes in the U.S. and we're banking on that. Our focus is U.S. venues, helping U.S. artists scaling into Asia once we find effectively own a tour route, so owning multiple venues, multiple exclusive deals across, primary markets, New York, LA, so forth. It's expensive. As a company in the US, the cost of legal is insane and it hurts us.
Right.
So I'm super excited with this new government in place. Hoping that it makes it easier for LLC Corp to go and actually launch a token, be able to have clear regulatory guidelines. I think that's what I'm excited about, and our team is looking forward to seeing what happens in the next 6 to 12 months.
Awesome. I think just to sort of shift gears a little bit, let's sort of talk about some of our respective projects. Maybe some of your favorite real-world use cases or consumer crypto use cases that you're seeing pop up that have been sort of successful, or even if more niche than mainstream. Let's sort of hear about it. Maybe Pierina, if you want to share.
I think that connected but disconnected to Flickplay as a platform. I really love how different companies are exploring digital as an experience. I think that idea of connecting, exploring the future of play, and how today technology allows us to bring life and materialize in the form of videos. What you normally just imagine, right? As play with physical toys, and what you're doing a great job of creating that bridge of connection between physical toys and digital and experience. And I think that it's just like the start of creating a seamless on-ramp into digital realm. So I'm really excited to see how that vertical continues to evolve.
Cool. So the intersection of digital, the intersection of physical and digital. Ahmed, what about you?
I'm really into decentralized stories. So doing with telecommunication companies, media that is super interesting, and we're watching closely. I'm also excited to see some infrastructure plays by consumer that I think are exciting capacity. CKTLS, I think, getting the groups on chain so that data can be used to do different things, whether it be underwriting or be actively getting as your past following on chain in the way that makes sense. I think that's going to be super supportive for consumer social buy products in the future. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Helium.
Very cool. Yeah, I think for me, I'm very bullish on sort of stable coins and stable assets, and on Celo we have this incredible sort of use case. It's a very seamless, easy to onboard sort of dollars, savings wallet, Flickplay, and built by the Opera sort of browser team, which is really incredible. I think there's like 5 million users right now, and it's just awesome to see. And then I would say the other thing that I love Blackboard. I think for those of us living in New York and former founder of Resi, who you just go to really incredible restaurants and sort of build up loyalty points, and it's really neat.
Loyalty is super interesting.
Definitely, and I think that's certainly a really awesome layer there. We've seen projects kind of come and go, but for sure it is distinct to leverage blockchain tech on that front. Any predictions? That you can sort of share any alpha for the audience, at least in terms of, maybe where you're seeing the industry headed.
I think this is a very not partial opinion, but I really think that the breakthrough of consumer products are about to come. I think that we see, we were talking this backstage where for the past 2 years, we see so much investment and focus go to infrastructure and as consumer products, we're actually focusing on building what they're not building because they don't really, most of them don't really understand the true use cases for which we need infrastructure. But we're getting to a point that the companies that are managing to actually lead these two verticals of infrastructure and consumer-facing technology, we're getting to a point where it's becoming seamless. And I think that, I mean, we're two cases, but there are many companies that are at our same stage. And I think that we're going to see a rise of new consumer products that are going to start bringing Web3 mainstream.
I absolutely agree. Yeah. I would even go to the fact that I think institutional investors and sophisticated investors are trying to find strong consumer brands that they can align themselves with. I think, yet again, make meme coins and all that. You know, the hysteria around that is great, but somebody's left holding the bag. I think when you're looking at real-world use cases and cases that are already generating revenue, I think that's going to be the thing that's going to make long-term, like, those where the long-term bets are going to be. We've seen that with Circle. We've seen this with you know, the adoption of stablecoins. This is where the excitement should be. But ultimately, it goes back to it. I'm very biased on this, but I think the real stuff is going to stay, and a lot of the cats or hats or whatever the heck is going to fade. It's going to fade off.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, I love sort of thinking through. It's, protocol village stage should sort of merge with this one. But yeah, no, absolutely. I think we have a few more minutes and we wanted to sort of open up the conversation. To anyone in the audience who might have a question for our panelists, feel free to sort of raise your hand. I think we've got some folks with a microphone. Any takers?
There is so much light that
I know. Feel free to sort of raise your hand. I think, in lieu of that, would love to sort of share, sort of in summary, or closing, in lieu of questions, maybe a one. Key sort of takeaway for the audience, or maybe one key sort of Web3 wish that you like to see change?
I think that just instill a sense of responsibility. I think that there are so many builders out there that are really focusing on bringing the technology mainstream and doing things right. And I think that every day we learn something. Whenever we feel that we clear the path for companies to really enter the front door with their head up and with a sense of a pride for being building the space, we see more and more headlines of bad actors that continue to compromise the space. So I really invite everyone to think responsibly about not their short but long-term commitment to the technology and the space that they are building on, because I do believe that we have a massive opportunity to make and disrupt consumer, how we engage in the world, but